people watching will be thinking, I think, that they were getting together and she was potentially talking about going off to the islands and the kinds of girls that would be procured for him.
Yeah, I mean, look, the way I look at Prince Andrew is this. That's why I've spoken out in previous interviews. From what I've physically seen, in terms of the way we had to break rules to allow unidentified women into the palace, that's highly unusual. It's unprecedented. It's a massive security breach. Although a senior officer did say publicly, one of my old senior officers, the royal family can have who they want in the palace. That's right, they can. But there's a fine line between who you want in the palace and having identified individuals being let into the palace. And I'll give you a prime example. So obviously, I said to you, you get people come up and say they're here to see the Queen and whatever, but they're not. So imagine if we'd just let them in. Imagine, oh, okay, yeah, we'll let you in.
Well, there was a woman that you've spoken about. Go on, tell that story.
So on this particular occasion, a young lady turns up at the, and I will say, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, the women that I saw, which were a lot, were all in their early 20s to early 30s. Not much older and definitely not younger. You know, some people have questioned me about, oh, well, you don't know, they could have been younger, but to me, they looked in their 20s. Okay. There was no one there that I would say, does your mum know where you are? You know what I mean? Yeah. So this lady comes up well dressed, and they're all well groomed. All these individuals are very, very smart, well-to-do individuals.
Attractive women.
Yeah.
Was he married to Fergie at the time?
No.
Okay.
He was divorced to her. But this individual came, and Andrew had just come in about half hour before, flown in his Jag. There was myself and two other officers, and one of the officers is quite a tubby boy, which he must have clocked as he drove in. Andrew must have clocked him. And so the lady says, usually the form was, we would ring up Andrew's footman after hours, because most of these individuals turn up after working hours, because the palace is a working palace 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And then obviously there'd be private engagements for the Queen after that, like maybe her cousin or friends or whatever would turn up, same with Philip and Andrew, but all his were women. And they could be coming in up until 11 o'clock at night. And so he stuck out like a sore thumb purely because the amount of women that were coming in that we were having to facilitate. Yeah. But obviously the fact that he was very cagey about who they were, we wouldn't get the names. We would just be told to contact the footman after hours. And because obviously we'd have anybody who came apart from Maxwell, we'd have the names up till 5 o'clock. After 5 o'clock, no names. Contact the footman, his footman, and let him know Prince Andrew's guest is here. He will come down and escort them into the palace.
It made your job difficult though, because you could be anyone.
Right. I'm going to come. Yeah, I'm going to validate. Yeah. No. I'm going to validate exactly my concerns in a minute. So this particular lady says, we said, okay, we tried to ring the footman, but he wasn't answering the phone. So now we're in a position. We've got a guest here, but we can't confirm because the footman's not answering the phone. What do we do? So she said, so we said, really? So I'm going to have to hold you a minute while we try and, get hold of the footman. She goes, I'll tell you what, I'll ring Andrew on my mobile. So she rings him on her mobile and we could hear it. And he said, put the officer on the phone. So my colleagues took the phone. He's gone, listen to me, you fat lardy ass cunt. Let my guest in now. I'm going to come down there. Now, we knew that he would come down there. And so we let her in straight away. We let her in. Because had we not, we'd have probably been pounding the beat in Brixton the next day, all of us holding each other's hands.
Did he have that power?
He had that power. He'd rung up before when another incident, the North Centre Gate, remember I told you about that? That's a gate that leads into the quad where his private door is. That, when it gets dark for security reasons, it needs to be shut and locked. All right? On one occasion, he's told the officers, he's rung up the control and said, leave the gate open because one of my guests will be leaving via that way. Usually they'd go through the side door, down in a different way. Anyway, the message wasn't passed on to the other officers, so they've gone and shut the gate. So this lady has come down and obviously locked in. She can't get out. The gates are locked. So she's gone back and told him. He's came out shouting through the gates, open these fucking gates, you fucking imbecile. Oh, honestly, he went mad. And then he went, done no more. He went back inside and rung up the commander of the Royal Protection Command at home and shouted and screamed at him.
Wow.
So,
He reports to no, he looks up to no one.
He will ring the commander if he's got a problem, and then obviously we're looking bad. You know what I mean? Because as I said to you before, there are officers that are loyal subjects, if you were, as opposed to street coppers.
Yeah.
That would go above and beyond the call of duty for the royal family, because at the end of the day, who do we swear allegiance to when we join the police?
Yeah.
The Queen or the King now. So
were they sort of suck ups a bit? Was there
I mean,
of big
again,
mix?
you've got again, when I come back to the Masonic influence, because what you'd have is so the Royal Protection Command, the Masonic influence, or the Masons within that were very closely linked to the Royal Household Masonic Lodge. And what would happen is you'd have officers that are there 20, 30 years on that Royal Command, or Royal Protection Command. They would retire one day and then suddenly be employed by the Royal Household the next day. They would go from, you see what I mean? And they're then gone, so they've just sidestepped into the Royal Household. And one famous person who did that, and this was at the time when Prince Andrew was playing up and the Epstein thing was going on, was Lord Loughborough, who was a titled lord, who was the commander of the Royal Protection Command at the time. And I'm not going to knock him, because he was a good commander. He was a good, he was a sound individual. But there was stuff that happened while on his watch, with like Andrew visiting Epstein and stuff like that. I mean, we'll go into that. But when he retired, he became master of the household for the King at St James's Palace.
Wow.
So one minute he's the commander of Royal Protection, next minute he's the master of the household.
There's a lot of politics going on.
There's a lot of politics, but again, it comes down to loyalty as well. You know what I mean? So, with Andrew visiting Epstein, and if you look at it in the most basic terms, sort of for people who sort of don't know too much about security and procedures, if we keep it like this, right, he's a senior member of the royal family, Prince Andrew. Therefore, places where he's going to stay for a period of time have to be vetted. So we've got a foreign travel office within the Royal Protection Command that deal, and domestic, foreign and domestic travel office. They're officers that will liaise with local police forces in this country or abroad, and let them know roles are coming. They need to know where the local hospital is, local police station in case there's an emergency, and they need to be moved. So it's all planned.
Yeah.
And obviously the premises that they're staying would need to be checked. A lot of the times you'll have an advance party when senior members are going out, so you'll have officers fly out to the location, or if this in this country, wherever, and check out the premises before the people arrive, the members of the royal family arrive. Same in the States. So they would have checked out the premises that Prince Andrew was going to stay at, and who owned them? Epstein. So the local authority must have done the checks and said, listen, the flag is coming back, it's flagged up as a convicted felon who owns that premises. You do know that. And obviously Andrew's gone against the advice that we would have got from the commander and said, listen, I'm going.